away.
I got it. Should I post the Rumble link or?
We're live now.
Yeah,
Yo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know why they were bothering Clint. He just wanted to take a nap. Poor guy. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski here of the best politicalshow.com. We are going to be live for the next 2 hours talking about all the latest and craziest news today. As of course, we now have a new document dumped specifically regarding Epstein, some latest revelations to the stories that we were talking about yesterday, a surprising development in the Ray Epps case, as of course the memes just literally make themselves. There's also a lot of crazy OF news, specifically with one creator saying that she makes $57 million. And is artificial intelligence going to be taking over that business? Well, probably. We're going to be talking about that, plus a lot more. So make sure to share this broadcast with your friends and family members. And you guys, of course, get to participate in this broadcast by becoming members on LukeUnfiltered.com. The link is down in the description. And by becoming a member, you guys actually get the ability to call into the show and ask us whatever you want. You could be a part of that broadcast. Signing up is quick. It's easy. It's simple. You could scroll down and you could sign up for less than just $8 a month, and you could be a part of this independent media organization and also get a special broadcast that we just made for you a couple moments ago, available just for members of LukeUnfiltered.com. We also have MySuperChat.com, a website where, of course, you guys get to participate and give us super chats with only a 3% service charge. YouTube, 30% service charge. MySuperChat.com, linked in the description here. Only, of course, just takes 3%. But if you still want to use Super Chats, if you want to use Rumble Rants, we, of course, will be reading all of that throughout the broadcast. As, of course, the conversation is definitely going to be getting spicy today surrounding the issues that we have ready for you guys today. As, of course, joining us for this conversation is the one and only Fresh Prince, Walter Weeks. Walter, for the people who don't know you, how would you introduce yourself, and who are you?
Thank you for having me, man. Having me on the podcast, man. It's Fresh. Fresh Fit Podcast, one of the co-hosts here. We did a podcast actually with Tim Castor and yourself a couple months ago. It was amazing. Got into the weeds of certain things, conspiracy stuff as well. You know, love that stuff. So glad to be here. Added some content.
It was a fun show. Tim was tired and exhausted. You saw him kind of like tune out a little bit at the end of there. But the conversation, especially with Crazy Ian, who's going to be here in a few days, by the way, was pretty awesome. So yeah, that was a fun part. You guys do a lot of shows here in Miami, so we thank you for coming down here. This is definitely going to be an interesting conversation as we have a lot of news to get into. Clint is also here. Clint, your nap looked so peaceful.
Yeah, it was disturbed by those little guys under my blanket. It's very upsetting. Clint Russell, host of Liberty Lockdown. I am sick to death of being the only black man on this broadcast. I am so happy that we have Fresh with us.
Wait a minute.
Adding some melanin.
You're not Slavic. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm the person of color here, recognized by the coalition of something, and something, right?
So am I, though, bro.
No, you're not. You're not Slavic. You're like white.
You know
you're
what?
like super
We're all
white.
black today. How about that?
Yeah, thank you.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Appreciate it.
My brother.
Our credit card score's going down.
At Liberty Lockpod on X if anybody wants to follow me. We got Steph on the buttons.
Hey everyone, I'm here on the button. Steph, we are changed. Let's go.
Steph has pledged to talk a lot today, right, Steph? Mm-hmm. She doesn't know about that yet. But yeah, there's a lot to get into. We already have a mysuperchat.com from a Liberty Search who says to the pretty woman, not the pretty button pusher, the pretty freedom maximalist, don't listen to Clint. You are not cynical. You are a realist. If it is possible, could themselves take a protein shake break and let the pretty woman talk about freedom for a while. I think that was from yesterday when we had Leia on. And then we got another super chat here from Doc Holliday saying, I like the way Tim Pool pointed out the hearsay accusations had been recanted instead of being a TDS gossip twit. Doc Holliday, thank you for your super chats. I guess he's still a little angry from the conversation that we had yesterday. But guess what, Doc? we have an update to that particular story as well. Let's just get into it. And Doc, I just got to tell you, you're not going to be happy. So get ready for more super chats countering me, because the latest development that we have on the story that you're bringing up here exactly is going to be something important and worth talking about. As of course, right now we have another document dump surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein saga, this time releasing the full unredacted testimony from the victims here, specifically Virginia Giuffre and the woman that made the accusation against Donald Trump. Now, these redacted depositions are all now public, and they're worth looking at, as of course we have some very interesting commentary surrounding all of this. But these documents are slowly and surely coming out, and it looks like it's coming out for maximum effect. It looks like they could have all just dumped this all at once and then have everyone kind of scurrying and the story would kind of go. But let's just be honest here. There's something here that doesn't want this story to go away, which automatically has my conspiracy mind kind of going here. Automatically, before the documents were released, I was telling you guys that this was probably some kind of internal Clinton versus Obama Democratic Party establishment civil war within the Democratic Party. And it does look that way, as these documents are having a maximum effect when it comes to bringing attention to a story that not so long ago, these people never wanted to talk about, never wanted anyone to even bring up. Now we all get to talk about it. That's a little fishy. What do you guys think is going on here?
That's an interesting vantage point. I was actually going the opposite direction. I thought, like, because it's being trickled out and really like nothing's coming of it, I feel like maybe it's trying to dispirit us, but I'm curious what you think.
So I think, why now? Obviously speaking, this was a while ago,
right?
But why now? So it has to be some political advantage for them to do this. Now, I'm just wondering, like, does this mean that these people that they're going to release on this actual document are going to be kind of like, I guess, expunged from the whole government thing? I don't know. But I'm just assuming, why now?
Yeah, well, these latest documents are pretty interesting, because you see Virginia Giuffre name Les Wexner, and we haven't heard about him yet in these internal documents, but he played a major role in all of this, essentially bankrolling Jeffrey Epstein, giving him huge sums of money, giving him properties, and this is the guy behind Victoria's Secret. You're shopping at Victoria's Secret, or you were shopping at Victoria's Secret. You were literally helping finance the larger trafficking of small children. By the way, that company is horrible. A lot of a lot of like health nuts talk about a lot of the specific substances and ingredients used in a lot of the things that women put on themselves, and talk about a lot of really horrible things that happen to them. When we look at Epstein, he was totally in the modeling world. He was someone that was an important figure that many people even saw as someone who was behind Victoria's Secret. So when you look at the modeling industry, you do kind of have to question, what in the world are they doing, since they do use a lot of children, and they are kind of trying to normalize this image of kind of prepubescent boys as this beauty standard as well. So when it comes to the whole fashion industry, yeah, to me, there's a lot of really corrupted, bad individuals within it. Jeffrey Epstein was one of them. Les Wexner was another one of them. But I think we still haven't seen the kind of full picture to just how dirty the entire modeling industry is, in my opinion.
Well, and my understanding is that it was Epstein who was utilizing basically like fake modeling gig offers to these women to get them lured in. Is that true? And also, do you know if Wexner has ever had a formal investigation brought against him?
He has not, from everything that I've seen personally myself. But yeah, again, this is the guy that played a major role in all of this. This is a guy that was a major prominent fashion mogul, was a major player in our financial system as well, was moving huge sums of money, giving Epstein a lot of property, a lot of money, and then everyone hears like, oh yeah, Epstein's gone, the story's gone. No, it's not. There's still a lot of very prominent individuals that were involved here that are just walking around like nothing happened, and they're walking scot-free.
But I'm curious, being on this list, what does that mean for the actual individual? Because I think on some level, they might just say I was a victim. I didn't know what was happening. That's my excuse me, but what's going to happen to them at this point? Because, I mean...
That's the problem, man. Like, especially with so much time that's already passed. Like, unless you have a smoking gun, like, how are you going to prove that anyone was actually... Even though they were on the flight logs, or even if they went to the island, there's still, like, plausible deniability. Like, I didn't know. I was just... This dude was super wealthy. He was rolling with all these other wealthy people. I'm a wealthy person. I'm sure some of them that's actually true too, and that's what makes it so challenging is to differentiate between those that were really bad actors, like to the most evil level imaginable, and those that were just kind of like naive fools.
Clint, can you just make sure that one of the power cables is not going over the audio cable there, because we're getting a little bit of interference
Feedback?
here. A little bit
It's
of
good
feedback. I think it's better now. Now, when we're looking at these kind of depositions, we are specifically seeing 400-page long depositions where these women sat through and then testified under oath. And if they said anything wrong, they would have been held accountable for it. Now, Ransom's testimony that we talked about yesterday that she recanted in an official New Yorker interview is also at question here, as of course she names Bill Clinton, she names Richard Branson, she names also Donald Trump. And as we know, Donald Trump was hanging out with Epstein, particularly in the 90s. There's a lot of fake news surrounding his participation in this. There's a lot of people saying he's completely innocent. There's a lot of people saying he's completely guilty here. What's really going on here? We still do not know, so it's important not to jump to conclusions. But this woman that we talked about yesterday, who originally said, hey, there's videotapes of all these people, who came out on the New Yorker and said, hey, I actually lied, came out again and said, no, actually, there's a bigger story here that I wanted to tell everyone to. And then she insists that as of right now, these tapes are actual tapes that do exist, and it kind of does make sense that they do. Here's what she had to say from the reporting that the Daily Mail is providing to us.
It's no secret that everything was recorded. Multiple victims have come forward confirming my account, along with others. I've also seen recordings in his office.
Ransom retracted her allegations in 2016 and reportedly said she invented the tapes to draw attention to Epstein's behavior.
All the individuals you've named have denied these claims. Why did you backtrack on the allegations?
In the time that I was with Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, amongst others, regularly enforced that if I ever did come forward, myself and my family would be harmed. It's
now,
no secret
is
that
this
everything
woman
was recorded.
telling the truth? Is what a lot of people are asking themselves, specifically now, because she's not just naming Bill Clinton, she's not just naming Richard Branson, but now her testimony is being questioned because she's naming Donald Trump specifically in a lot of these allegations. So
Here's the problem,
do you
man,
think
right?
she's telling the truth or no?
Listen, we've seen in the current news women coming forward with allegations for guys in the past. We got P. Diddy, Cuba Gooding Jr., all these guys. Russell Brand as well. So it's like, on some level, are they telling the truth? And I must say this on camera. Listen, at the end of the day, it may be true, but where's the proof? Please. Because ultimately, you can make an allegation and it's false, and then they run the story, and that person that you talk about is now shunned by the public because they're an offender or whatever. The point is that, like, she can say anything, and it's basically believe all women. But is that true? No. Where's the proof? Show us the proof, and I'll believe you.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally reasonable, and it's unfortunate that we're in this position where we have to, question everyone and everything. But she made it harder on herself, because in 2016 she walked it back. Now the reality though is, like, yeah, if what she's saying is true, her life is really in jeopardy. So, like, I wouldn't blame her for walking it back. But then you have to, if you're going to say, no, I walked it back the last time, but that was not true, it actually was true, and there are tapes, well, then where are they?
Exactly.
Well, they're in the possession of the FBI. The FBI has the tapes, and this is the larger point that I wanted to make here. Instead of just saying, hey, should we believe her? Hey, what's Trump's involvement here? People automatically, based on their political leanings, are saying, automatically he's totally good. And people on the left are saying automatically he's totally bad. Again, I want to hear from Trump. I want to know what he knows. I want to know what he did. I want to know what he participated in. But more importantly, I think if we're going to bring this story to its prominence, we have to caveat it with specifically demanding, hey, the FBI, the tapes that you confiscated from that safe, let's get some transparency about those tapes. Let's get some accountability, as of course, those tapes, those photos, those videos, those hard drives had specific names of individuals on them. There was entire safes filled with compromise, with blackmail, that according to the FBI have gone missing. Now, according to her, these tapes are out there. They do exist. And it makes sense that they do exist. If you look at Epstein's property, there were surveillance cameras everywhere. There's reports of surveillance cameras in every single bathroom, in every single room, every single angle, every single position, as there was an entire surveillance room dedicated with cameras all over it that was watching everyone's move. Now, we know Clinton was there. The Prime Minister of Israel was there. That creepy Woody Allen guy was there. That wheelchair crazy freaky dude was there as well with his limp wrist.
But what's the probability of us getting these tapes or seeing them? Like, let's say there's an uprising, everyone demands, we want the tapes, we want the tapes. Like, what is the probability of that actually happening? Do we have to like find other measures to get this information to light?
Well,
we're not going to see the proof.
Well, this is why they went after Julian Assange. This is why they went after WikiLeaks. This is why they're going after James O'Keefe and making sure that any kind of whistleblower organization gets automatically wrecked and destroyed. Because if there are any good FBI agents out there, or federal agents, or agents within the DOJ, or even police officers that were participating in this larger cover-up operation, if some of them get a guilty kind of conscience and say, hey, let's release this, hey, let's get this out there, automatically that kind of implicates and shows everything. So the probability of those tapes kind of coming out that way, it's not really probable, because we do see the intelligentsia, the intelligence agencies destroy any kind of platform that would represent those voices. This is why we tell people, hey, I don't want any documents. Stop sending me stuff. I don't want anything. I can't handle that level of security. I can't handle that layer of legal lawfare that would be enacted against me, even if I was doing traditional journalism, just like they did many decades ago, that used to be congratulated and now is criminalized to the point where even foreign citizens, Julian Assange isn't even a citizen of America. And America is torturing him in foreign prisons, accusing him also of hurting women, forcing himself on women. The whole Julian Assange story, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but that right there, what happened to him in Sweden, what happened to him for not using protection, what happened to him after cuddling consensually with someone, and the way that the media treated it, the way that the states treated it, the way that they weaponized the Me Too movement against him specifically, is absolutely terrifying.
Well, we've seen from past victims that if they want to get you, how do they get to you? Not by money all the time, not always by persuasion, but by women. Yep. And as a result, they can make up any excuse. Oh, you were with her? Hey, we'll pay you $50K, $100K, $1 million to say this about him, and they will. Now, mind you made a very good point at the very beginning. You said, why is the list out now of these people, right? And I think, just personally speaking, they want to sway an election. They want to put it so that on some level, they have these people's names out there to make people's opinion of them bad and then go in a certain direction. That's why I think they might have done it as well. But again, they have information out there that they don't want to share with us. They want to show us what they want us to see. So it's what it is.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about just the broad trajectory. Luke did a great job encapsulating it, where you have James O'Keefe, you have Julian Assange, Edward Snowden. I mean, the list goes on. And then you even have commentators like Russell Brand that come out and rise to prominence, kind of going against the narrative, but doing it from the kind of like the left side of the political aisle. He also gets hemmed up in some really unproven claims. And I don't know what the truth of any of this is, but the trend demonstrates exactly what you're talking about, is that like they will use, even if you're not like taking in documents, they will still use trumped up charges to try and take you down, or at least tarnish your reputation to an extent that you can't ever really recover. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Russell Brand. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me.
Because the problem is, you make an allegation on somebody and it goes public.
Right.
Even if it's wrong or it's false, it doesn't matter.
People will always think about it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So your reputation is ruined no matter what you do.
Yep. We got another super chat here from Doc Holliday saying, gee, I wonder why now. Election year and Trump is killing it. The machine has never done anything in the last 7 years to take Trump down. Right, yes. Of course, we acknowledge that, and we do talk about that a lot here. We got another super chat from Pin King 554 saying, Trevor Broer is the most recently that got screwed by the Me Too movement.
Dodgers pitcher.
Yeah.
Was he the one that was divorced and then slid into that lady's DMs?
Yeah. No.
Well, no.
That was, he was a pitcher that he got accused of sexual assault, even though like.
This girl planned it from the very beginning with her friend to try to get his money as well.
And then there was text messages that were released showing specifically how it was a hit job and his entire career was ruined, all based on hearsay and the corporate media, of course, attacking him specifically. But there's a lot of fake news out there. We got another super chat from Doc Holliday saying, Luke, you should know that the other than this, you do fantastic work, and sneaking onto Epstein's Island to expose was awesome. You have bowling balls. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate your constructive criticism. We appreciate your point of view. We appreciate appreciate all super chats, but I'll be honest here. Controversial take. She talks about how she had to recant this because she was threatened and her family was threatened. The way that the kind of deep state works, I kind of believe it. I'll be honest. I have no evidence to prove this. This is just my own kind of knee-jerk kind of circumstantial reaction to this, looking at this video, looking at her saying this particular statement. I think she's telling the truth. It makes sense. It adds up to everything that I've been looking at, because we've been talking about this story here on We Are Change when the corporate media was still promoting Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was seen as some kind of amazing philanthropist by VH1, and all these other media organizations were kind of pushing him up as this great philanthropist, as this great money guy.
Gross.
And even though no one knew where his money came from. And the stories that were destroyed here by Vanity Fair, by all these other top media organizations that participated in this larger cover-up effort, it does make sense that someone's life was threatened here, saying, hey, you keep speaking out against this, we're going to kind of take you out here. Because let's just be honest here, they do character assassinate people. They do take people out. They took out Julian Assange. They took out a lot of other prominent individuals. There's a lot of crazy stories with Michael Hastings. There's a lot of crazy stories when it comes to Gary Webb. There's a lot of crazy stories when it comes to a lot of other journalists doing some really awesome things, exposing things like Iran-Contra, and then bada bing, bada boom, being found with multiple shots to the head while hanging themselves at the same time simultaneously somehow. That doesn't add up.
But let's be honest here. She knew from the beginning, you bring this news out to the world, you're going to be a target. Come on.
Absolutely.
I mean, so I get that she might have been scared after the fact, but still, you knew from the very beginning, you say this out on camera or you say this out in public, you're going to be a target.
That's true. But hey, look, let me speak to Doc directly because he continues to chime in. Doc, I have done incredibly deep dive work on the entire Russia collusion story. Basically, Donald Trump, they attempted to coup the man. So, like, I agree with you. Of course, they're going to use everything at their disposal to take him out. I think this is actually the best defense against Trump is that until now, there has been really no allegations about him doing untoward things while he was affiliated with Epstein. I think that is probably the best level of exoneration, given that he has been skewered over every other thing in his life, even though most of it was totally benign. So I tend to agree with you. But Luke is absolutely right that it's totally plausible that this woman was threatened, and that's why she recanted. So we can't know. Here's the truth of it. The FBI had the tapes. They're the ones that have to answer these questions. We're all sitting around trying to answer these questions with like 8% of the information. They had 100%. So that's where the pressure ought to be applied. Tell us what happened.
I would say we have 2% of the information.
Sure.
A couple weeks ago it was 1%. So we're still scratching the surface of what's going on here. But these people are capable of some extraordinary actions. Look at the people that they influenced. Look at the people that they controlled for over 30 plus years. As children, we're going to the FBI. Children were going to the FBI and to local police departments, and every step of the way, their stories, their incidences were just totally swept under the rug. They weren't taken seriously. And you look at what happened to Epstein in a federal prison in Manhattan, one of the most prominent prisons in all of America. And now you have Jeffrey Epstein's brother coming out and saying they absolutely covered up what was happening here. They lied every step of the way. They never followed proper procedure, proper protocol. They never did anything right when it came to the many anomalies when it comes to the official story of what happened to Epstein, which many people, including myself, believe are still alive to this day. Because why wouldn't they? They lied about this every step of the way. And they also committed a very similar action to Jean-Luc Bernet. Now, if you don't know who Jean-Luc Bernet was, he was essentially the Epstein of Europe, another fashion media mogul that, of course, was in the modeling agency, was deemed a pimp, and deemed someone who, of course, couldn't keep it in the pants as well. What happened to him? He went to jail. What happened in jail? Oh, he also offed himself, where surveillance cameras just magically stopped working at the same exact time.
Magically.
Yeah, magically. Oh, just everything failed. Poof. It was a systemic failure. It was just a big old coincidence. It's a big old coinky-dink here. And if you look at these people doing all this, Why wouldn't they threaten people and scare them and say, "Hey, you better shut up before we take you out and your family out"? Because look what else we could do.
Well, this is what's so frustrating, dude. Because it's like if we had even a remotely functioning government, you would have congressional, like a special congressional hearing just to address this. I mean, it is so far-reaching. We're talking about the highest levels of power in America, but not just America. We're talking about the political elite of the vast majority of the world that are being named in this type of stuff. So where are the hearings? Where, like, we can't get justice when it comes to Fauci. We can't get justice when it comes to Epstein. We can't get justice when it comes to the FBI and their depravity and what they did to Donald Trump's administration. Like, there has to be evidence to the American people that there's an attempt to remedy this. And if they're not prepared to do that, then you owe them no allegiance. You owe them no fealty. These people do not represent you. They aren't trying to actually even keep children safe, for God's sakes. It's reprehensible.
So how are they held accountable? Like what?
Prison.
Well, to be real, where there's power, there's rules, and they make the rules. So, to be honest, they
That's
don't have
the
to
problem.
trust anything.
That's the problem, is that they set
We,
the
the people,
rules.
don't have any power anymore.
Yep.
We don't. We give it all up to the government, honestly.
Yeah, it's what it feels like to me too.
We got a Rumble rant from Crash Bandit saying the lie travels the world before the truth puts on its boots. I would say now with Rumble, with Twitter, that statement isn't always that true. And I think this is why there also has been a lot of deliberate efforts to take down Twitter, to take down Rumble, and to attack it in many kind of weird, devious ways as well. We got some other super chats we're going to get to in a little bit, but I also wanted to remind everyone that there was even a recorded statement specifically made by Jean-Luc Bernet that a witness talked about, with specifically Jean-Luc Bernet bragging how he literally provided thousands of children to Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Again, these people were above the law. These people were immune to police officers, immune to judges, immune to prosecution. They had the media in its control, in its grips. What in the world happened here that now everything kind of flipped on its head, and now all of this is being exposed here? As it's fair to say that right now, there's probably another island. There's probably another Mr. Epstein, because the way that this operation was carried out, it was carried out in a very successful way, because if there's videotapes of all these prominent individuals, you have videotapes on the Prime Minister of Israel. You have videotapes on the President of the United States. Even if they're former presidents and former prime ministers, they have a lot of influence. You literally go to them and be like, "Hey, you see this tape? We want you right now to give Big Pharma everything. We want you right now. I want to bomb this country. You're going to bomb this country, right? What is that politician going to say that has connections to the U.S. government, that has connections to the Pentagon? Just tell me what to do, because everything could be exposed here. And we talked about this yesterday. We should talk about this on Rumble, but a lot of very prominent institutions, a lot of the music industry, the fashion industry, the movie industry, all works like this. So this is not immune to politics. If you think your politicians are squeaky clean and good conservative Christians that follow God and have a family, absolutely not. They're some of the most devious, some of the most nastiest, some of the most disgusting human beings that you can't even imagine the actions that they're capable of, because that's how a lot of power, that's how a lot of influence works. Compromise, blackmail.
I will say this: the fashion industry, music industry, government is corrupt, as we know. However, Jeffrey Epstein, I thought he was black, bro. He's the king of blackmail, literally. He has dirt on everybody. So I think on some level he knew what he was doing and he did it very well. Problem is that, like, eventually someone's going to say something to out you. So
yeah, but I mean, when you're shopping the compromise, the videos that you're filming, when you're shopping that to the highest levels of, you know, the government, CIA, FBI, Mossad, why, like, you really don't have to fear much. And I think that's why he got away with it for decades. But his entire origin story, the way he got his money, it's just so devious, and it's so obviously corrupt from its very inception. And yet, like, even though it's on its face, everyone knows that something is totally amiss here. We're still left in the dark. It's one of the most frustrating stories of my lifetime, honestly.
Doc Holliday has more super chats here. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate your support.
Shout out to Doc, man.
Yeah, you're helping keep us alive. So I appreciate that. He says, it makes sense because of TDS. It's hopeless. And again, I like to say that I like to be rational about this situation, but you have your point of view, and we respect that as well. You also gave another super chat saying, and you believe that they had tapes on Trump and wouldn't leak them.
I just said
Years
that, Doc.
earns the benefit of the doubt. Now, let's just say if there are tapes and if they're held by the FBI, why would you release them when you could use them to extort someone in a position of power? So if you're the FBI, I mean, there is a larger concerted effort to kind of compromise and attack Donald Trump. Obviously, there's no denying that. Obviously, it's pretty clear the corporate media has it out for him, but the corporate media also kind of loves him because it's ratings gangbusters
Cash
for
cow.
them. Hillary Clinton called them the Pied Piper. Hillary Clinton, of course, during their election was talking about how they wanted to run against him specifically, and they are pulling all the stops out there. You do bring up an interesting question. Would they leak it or would they keep it to extort power? What do you think? Let me know. We could do a poll actually on YouTube right now, and we could ask the audience. I'm going to set that up here really quickly. What do you think? If there's a tape of Trump, would the FBI leak it or would they use it to compromise individuals and get policies instituted because of it? What do you think could potentially be going on here, even if there are tapes? Again, we don't know if there's tapes. We know the FBI has some tapes. Who's on those tapes? We don't know. What exactly is going on here? Again, we don't know. And that's why I think I joined Clint, and I've been talking about this. We should call for more transparency. We should call for the FBI to, of course, be more open and honest. We should have more hearings. We should have more depositions. We should have more testimony about everyone involved here, since clearly this is a major story, a major issue that shouldn't be going away anytime soon. And the fact that it's still here, it's also kind of sketchy as well, because who knows what they're going to be releasing. And now with artificial intelligence and deepfakes, they could deepfake people who weren't Epstein's friends, who weren't in his house, who weren't on his plane, weren't on his island, and they'll release
That's
it,
what they're waiting
and people
for.
could believe it as well. So that's another thing that we have to kind of understand here when it comes to
Election
the level
year.
of psyops. Exactly. And just how turbulent the election year could get, especially if you're someone like the intelligence agencies that has the capabilities of putting people where they weren't and then creating videos that could be just absolutely made up and fake.
I would wager even creators now have to be careful, because think about this election year, right? What are they going to do? Silence people, shut them down, delete their channels. So on some level, this whole year is going to be who's going to survive this battle, because it's going to be crazy. I'm telling you right now.
That's such a great point. I think, I mean, Scott Horton put out today that a bunch of the journalists that had been covering the bombing campaign in Gaza, they all got nuked from Twitter over the past, or X from the past couple days. It's like, man, if you think that's just the beginning. I think he's exactly right that, September, October arena, there's going to be a lot of YouTube channels that get popped like right away.
No, every election year. We were one of the first YouTube channels to ever be demonetized. It wasn't fun. I remember getting a notification right before Christmas. Literally, right before Christmas, I was dealing with, again, we're not the Rockefellers here. We're not the Rothschilds here, okay? We don't have money laying around everywhere. So that's why we thank Doc Holliday so much for his super chats, which we really appreciate. But I remember right before Christmas, they were like, oh, yeah, you're just totally gone. Why? We don't know. But then you kind of add the fact that we were talking about this story for a very long time. You add the fact that we were on the island investigating exactly what was happening after there was surveillance, after there was drone footage of highlighting someone that looked like him. You add that to the fact that Sergey Brin was friends with Mr. Epstein and was working with him and JP Morgan and Chase to get $4 billion of investment money. And you start connecting the dots here, and it's like, okay, it does kind of make sense here. But now that this story is becoming as prominent as it is, my conspiracy senses are going off here. So we have the poll that we're asking everyone. We're going to let everyone vote in that poll here. But we got another Rumble rant that we could only read on Rumble. We got also some super chats that are a little bit critical. We'll address those later on. But specifically, another very interesting thing that happened on social media was that the Clinton Library made a post specifically asking everyone in the general public, what was Bill Clinton's first ever email? And they made sure to quickly delete that post right away, since everyone was bringing up, hey, he was probably up to some really awful, horrible things. As there's even a video from the 1990s describing kids communicating with Bill Clinton through email. Yes, this is a real video, and we'll play you a short snippet of it here.
Want to write a letter to President Clinton? Would he answer us? I bet he would.
I bet he would too.
Oh my god!
Absolutely, he would. As of course, I think if we're gonna, criticize everyone here, we gotta call out Clinton, who of course is the number one implicated individual here, who clearly can't keep it in his pants, and according to some sources, is even implicated in some possible Israeli blackmail involving Monica Lewinsky as well. So, again, politics extremely seedy, extremely dirty. There's a meme. There's a reason. There's a meme of Bill Clinton checking out someone's buttocks during a national event. There's a reason that this guy has a reputation, and it's not just the reputation from Amino, Arkansas, where a lot of the Iran contraband actually made its way through, and along with the CIA, that of course also funneled some particular substances all throughout poor areas in the United States. That's a different story. I won't get there, but I think if we look at these revelations, the main hits are against the Clintons, and I don't think that's an accident, with the potential of Mike or Michelle Obama running to be president of the United States.
Well, they project that Trump is going to win right now, but I just wonder what they're going to pull right before this actually happens. But just to add to Clinton as well, so on some level, were they ever going to win the election? I don't think so.
You think Hillary?
No,
No, yeah, I don't think so either.
Not a chance. So this wouldn't really hurt them, would it? Because I mean, they're never going to win anyway.
Unless she has signaled privately that she intends to get in the race and try and replace Biden, in which case I could see why they'd want to be like, yo, no, you're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tend to agree. I think that her political career is over. She's already lost to Trump. Like, why would they put her up? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So looking at the poll numbers right now on YouTube, 60% of the votes say that yes, if there was a tape of Trump, that tape would have been already released by the FBI.
Interesting.
40% of people say no. Also, shouts out to Charles, shouts out to Nicholas Davis, and for the super chats, and shouts out to 467 Spirit saying, we're living in Scary Movie 3, from President to the alien invasion and to Epstein, the lighthouse, secretly recording Cindy, support from Anaheim's swamps.
Wow.
Thank you.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, thank you, 467 Spirit, for that super chat. As of course, again, we still know very little. We got another Rumble rant from Tommy75775 saying, love the show, keep going after the bastards. The hard slog towards truth is worth it. Absolutely, I agree. As of course, we still know very little about this scenario, as we're still learning about secret emails that Ghislaine Maxwell had linked to Jeffrey Epstein that still weren't turned over to the authorities. The authorities here failed every step of the way. There's still multiple properties that were never investigated, were never searched by the FBI. There's a sixth property that we don't even know where it is, that of course a lot of really seedy, horrible activities took place in. How far does the rabbit hole go? How far do you guys think this story goes when it comes to how sinister, how evil, how messed up it is?
I think it goes all the way to the sewers of New York City, if I'm being totally honest.
Actually, you saw what they posted today. Actually, there was So I don't know if you want to say it on the show, but
I have
Rumble?
a video. We'll have
Save
to
for Rumble?
we'll have that save that.
Yeah.
We'll save that
Yeah.
for Rumble.
Rumble segment.
But
I'll just say flip the coin and you go under the sewers and you'll see what we're talking about. Yo, by the way, can we mention the guy in the wheelchair? This is crazy, bro.
Stephen Hawking. Hold on. I have a video from the New York City Underground that I think is worth paying attention to.
No.
That video had me absolutely cracking up. And of course, for the people listening, it's the Hasidic Jewish guy coming out of secret tunnels in New York City. We talked about that in our main video on youtube.com/wearechanged. But Clint, you were trying to say something here on this topic.
I don't think I
that
can
you
say anything
you
until Rumble.
opened the can of
I
worms.
did open the can. I'm sorry. Look, that's one of the weirdest stories of all time. We're 8 days into 2024. Do you think that we're going to survive this year, given that we already have people climbing out of sewers?
Bro,
within New York?
we got sewer climbers. We got aliens.
Yeah, bro.
We got documents being
We got
dropped.
tornadoes in South Florida.
Earthquakes.
This is wild.
Yo, bro, what's happening in 2024, bro?
What? Yeah, I want
What's going on?
to. I want to ask you guys this. How much crazier is it going to get? What are your 2024 predictions? I have mine, but I don't know if you guys want to go off on some of yours.
So, I can predict. This is my opinion here that we're moving towards a no cash society. So that's going to be pushed even further, if not by the next year following, or a couple of years preceding that. And then, of course, social media is going to be heavily controlled because if you're not with the agenda, you're going to be shut out completely or demonetized, as happened to us. And then I would just say, like, for example, when it comes to politics and actually this actual election, they don't want Trump to win. So they can try anything possible to make it so he doesn't win. But I'm just curious to know what that might be. And then last but not least, aliens. They've been trying for movies for years to push aliens on us. For example, Invasion Day, all this stuff, Independence Day. And on some level, like, we're ready for it. We're like, you know what, aliens, you know what, this is pretty cool. Can't wait to meet you guys. Don't kill us though, but like, we'll have some fun. And it's like, hold on. Do you know what they're actually bringing to us in real time? Do you really know? If you're spiritually awoken, do you know what's happening here? Maybe you don't know, but that's my prediction for this year.
Aliens or interdimensional beings is the question that we should probably get into on Rumble and have more of a deeper conversation about this. Clint, do you have any predictions?
Yeah.
Steph, we're going to go to you too.
My biggest concern, aside from how the country reacts to the election, if Trump's on the ballot, if he's not, if he wins, if he loses, I think it's going to be total bedlam regardless of how that plays out. So that makes me very nervous. But I will say this. This is probably the most off-the-board prediction I have. If I was Elon Musk, I would be very cautious about security, traveling, everything else. He has basically opened up the one platform that allows for relatively open dialogue during an election year. That is dangerous as hell, bro. So
well said.
I'm appreciative of it, obviously, but I'm very nervous for the guy, and I hope he's hiring the best and brightest to keep him safe.
Steph, what do you think is going to happen in 2024?
What I want to say is that I feel like we need to be very vigilant and aware of the stories we're being told. Mm-hmm. For example, the aliens. I think that there's a distinction between aliens and interdimensional beings, and I feel like we need to just be using our senses and be like, what do I know? What can I observe? What are the things that I can internalize myself? Not extrapolate, because things are not always what it seems like, and we should not be jumping to conclusions. We can easily be like corralled into a whole other story that isn't the actual truth. So just be super aware and skeptical. And then I do feel like, because I've been like looking into the GG33 numerology stuff, and because it is the year of the dragon, I feel like money is one of the really important things. Like, apparently somehow this is the time when maybe like some sort of takeover of the monetary system could
I agree.
happen. And I'm just really been looking at that and just keeping my eyes open, but not really jumping to any conclusions.
I think a lot of the financial stuff is going to happen in 2025. Mm-hmm. Usually what happens during election years is that the government does everything in its power to prop up the economy, to get the Federal Reserve printing more money, to make sure that whatever they do, no matter how underhanded, no matter how deceivious, they're going to make sure that people aren't feeling financial pain. A lot of people are feeling a lot of financial pain, and it wouldn't be advantageous for the power that be to kind of cripple and destroy a major factor that allows them to be in power. I think there's going to be more underhanded plays against Donald Trump. I think there's a lot of different variables here because of Twitter, because of Rumble, because of free speech platforms. I think there's going to be a full frontal attack on Rumble, full frontal attack on Twitter, unless, of course, someone bends the knee. Will they bend the knee? Will they stand up for us and independent content creators and independent media? That's going to be a very telling sign, as they're going to put a lot of pressure on these organizations and these people, and I'm telling them, be ready, because it's going to get absolutely bonkers, absolutely crazy. And then if they're able to take down free speech in this country, then anything and everything is possible, because then they could get away with it and not have anyone call it out in real time. So I think that's going to be an important aspect to all this. So I'm looking at the attacks happening against Rumble. There's a big attack against Rumble right now. I'm looking at how Twitter's responding, because it looks like Twitter just banned a bunch of people critical of Elon and other people. still, I haven't been able. I'm hearing scuttlebutt of this. I haven't verified it myself yet, but I'm looking at what's going on here, and I'm kind of seeing how it's going to play itself out. But for me, I don't think they're going to wreck the economy. I think they're going to keep the war in Ukraine going as long as they can. I think they're definitely going to try to undermine Trump. And after 2024, after the election, then it's going to get really, really absolutely off the walls and crazy. I think right before the election, there's going to be some states that are going to throw Trump off the ballot. I think the Supreme Court's not going to have enough time to react. I think there's going to be a lot of chaos. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be replacing Biden, probably with Michelle or someone else, because I just do not see a way for them to kind of make that work themselves here. We got another super chat from Doc Holiday. Doc, thank you. Saying, I think you're sincere in your desire for the truth. Thanks for addressing my comments. Luke, TDS ruled out. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. As of course, before going over to Rumble, there's another major news story today that deserves our attention, and that is the Associated Press reporting that Ray Epps, the man in the middle of the entire Capitol January 6th attack, just got a year of probation for his role at the Capitol riot. Yes, you heard that correctly. The man surrounding a lot of different conspiracies about this particular event. A man openly calling for people to storm the Capitol. A man who engaged in physical conflicts literally is getting a year of probation, $500 in restitution, 100 hours of community service. How does this make sense? How does this add up when there's people in jail for dozens and dozens of years who weren't even there? There's independent journalists who went to jail and were sent to solitary confinement for being outside of the Capitol. Why is Ray Epps getting off this easy? What do you think is going on here in a verbal way that doesn't get us sued by Ray Epps?
Yeah, that's going to be the hard part. So
I will just say, in the garden, there's flowers and then there's plant. Mm-hmm. I'm done.
Allegedly.
Look. I'll handle it this way. If you actually look into the story, this actually ties in really well to the predictions that we were making too. Because earlier this week I was talking about the two worlds phenomenon, where it seems like there are people that are in the independent media sphere, or those that even just watch what we're up to. They have a real good sense of what actually happened on that day. Mm-hmm. And then you have the people that watch CNN and they're just, or MSNBC or whatever, read the New York Times. They're totally convinced that there was a violent attempt at a coup that day. And everybody else is like, well, it got out of hand, of course. But man, there's a lot to this story. There's a lot to really look into. And Epps has been kind of the focal point of there's a lot to look into on this one. And for him to get probation, especially after they weren't even going to charge him, and the only reason he even got charged is because of pressure from the independent news outlets that were covering this. Taylor Hansen, who's also been surveilled for the past 3 years because of his coverage, because he was the one that actually filmed I can't even talk about it, but Ashley Babbitt. It's unbelievable the disparate treatment that we're receiving in this country based off our political beliefs, and it's unbelievable the different perspectives that we have based off of what news we imbibe from. And I think that's only going to get worse once you have the capacity for deep fakes and all this other stuff. We're already so separated. Once we have no ability to even verify what we're watching is real, then it's going to get really wild.
It's interesting to see a lot of the responses here, because we have the lectern guy. By the way, we have the lectern guy's lectern right here behind me. He actually sent me a handmade lectern right there with my name on it. He, of course, is the infamous guy who is seen carrying out the Capitol lectern out of the Capitol and smiling for the video camera. He went to jail because of that, and he said, quote, "Kind of seems like maybe I shouldn't have gone to prison for trespassing if they are only giving Ray Epps a year of probation for telling people to storm the Capitol and shoving things into cops." Baked Alaska, another individual who also went to jail because of January 6th, responded by saying, "Yeah, it's pretty wild, dude." And yeah, I would absolutely agree. As of course, a lot of the corporate media is running a lot of defense for him, and he is suing a lot of individuals. I think Tucker Carlson is one individual who is also being sued, and the legal lawfare that kind of has been ramped up in this country, especially with what happened to Rudy Giuliani, especially with what happened to AJ in Austin, Texas, is a little terrifying when it comes to independent media and just any kind of personality who's speaking out, who now has to worry about crazy, insane legal fees with these people attacking you and destroying your life and taking everything away from you because of judges that don't like your political thoughts and expression, or juries who are extremely biased in places like New York and Washington, D.C., who clearly have an interest in punishing people because of their political thoughts and expression. How's this going to unfold from here? I don't know, but it's not looking good now.
Yeah, well, that's my real concern is that there will be a breaking point at which, you know, the Trump supporters of this world or in this country ultimately decide that there is no justice to be found, that their election process, they have no peaceful avenues to redress their grievances. This is really like foundational American history. Like, this is what led to the revolution. It's true. So I'm very nervous that the powers that be are dismissing, you know, some of the most well-armed folks in this country, and I'm nervous about what that portends for the future.
Well, there might be a situation where they are deliberately provoked to respond in a violent way that, of course, plays into the role of the FBI for the traps that they're setting up here. They might want you to be violent. They might want you to be angry so they could put you in the perfect trap so they could, of course, take you out in a justified way. So that's another thing to consider.
Trump is the last bastion of like independent, I want to say, leadership. And with him comes a lot of people that want that as well. So when you provoke those people and say, oh, we're going to unjustify or really put Trump out of the ballot, they're going to react in a, I want to say, fair way. But that's going to be a trap, like you said before, because if you provoke them in that way, they come out with their, you know, weapons or whatever, ready to fight, then you lock them all up or you put them away, then who's going to rebel next? Nobody.
Yeah.
Because then you see what happens to you if you follow that suit. But again, I think he's one of the last leaders that we have that is really independent.
I mean, what's going to happen? Let's just say hypothetically, Joe Biden wins re-election, right?
Brandon, come on, man.
Let's just say,
come on,
hypothetically, he's going to continue prosecuting people. He's going to continue going after anyone who threatens him politically. How bad will it get from here as people who are literally commentating on events are ending up in jail?
Well, actually, you know who's actually way ahead of us? China. They have social credit score,
right?
And you can't say anything about the government. If you do, jail.
You're gone. And
but their social credit score works in a weird way where they actually go after crime. They have to actually go after bedlam, people who litter. And if you look at their social credit score, they argue we make society clean and better. Here, we already have a corporate social credit score, but it's like they want more crime. It's like they want more bedlam. They want you to live a horrible life. We still have a social credit score, but it's corporate. But
out of chaos comes order.
Exactly.
There's a movie that actually kind of talks about that. I forgot. The guy's a cop, and they use like these people to like see criminals before they do the crime.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
Not Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is
Minority
in there.
Report.
Minority
that
Report.
one.
Yeah.
Perfect example. So yeah.
Well, yeah, man, I'm super nervous about all of this, honestly. And this is like exactly the point that Luke was making. This is the primary reason that I almost want to see Trump win. And for those that aren't familiar with me, I haven't been a Trump supporter. I'm also certainly not a Democrat supporter. But I'm super, super nervous about what a second term of this already ramped up, weaponized FBI apparatus that seems to be running Gladio operations domestically, and like, what does that portend for the next 4 years? And it's like, I cannot see that happen. Like, it absolutely cannot happen. So for that reason alone, I'm like, yeah, give me Trump, man, whatever.
And let's say Trump does win, JFK all over again.
Well, it depends. I think if he picks Nikki Haley as his VP, which there's some serious consideration behind, as Mike Cernovich is talking about how like Laura Trump is kind of getting this kind of story out there to see how people respond to it. If he gets like a neoconservative rhino as his VP, someone like another Mike Pence, which all the political strategists are telling him to do, they're telling him it's going to make sense. You're going to win the election. Just get a rhino. Just get a neocon. If he's going to get someone like Nikki Haley in there, who he previously appointed to the United Nations, Absolutely. CIA is bringing out that heart attack gun, and they're like, "It's time, Trump." And Trump's up there in age here, which a lot of people are bringing up as a concern here. So that's why I keep saying, and I brought this issue up with Tucker Carlson. I was like, what would you do if there was a Trump-Haley candidacy? He says, "I'm not voting for him if it's Nikki Haley." And I think we need to say that more and more, because if Trump has a more of a kind of like F the establishment candidate in there, he's more protected. He's more secured from the establishment using some really dirty tricks in order to kind of take him out and get rid of him. So that's why I'm like, let's get, Tulsi Gabbard, even though she's CFR. Let's get RFK Jr., even though he might be compromised by the intel agencies now, especially with all the latest stuff. Let's get someone like Tucker Carlson in there. Let's get someone like Vivek Ramaswamy in there. And I think that's the safeguard kind of way to move forward in a way that the establishment doesn't kind of take him out.
His VP slot can be basically like a bulletproof vest. And to take this back to kind of a historical lesson, it was LBJ that was the vice president to JFK, and he was the one that ultimately ramped up the Vietnam War. But had say JFK, had he put in someone like Barry Goldwater, they would have not wanted that dude to be president. So I think that's the opportunity that Trump has presented to him. You have basically a life insurance policy based off your VP slot that you select. Be real
careful about it.
Be real careful. Yeah.
I mean, who do you guys want to see as VP? Personally, let's get Tucker in there. Screw it.
I like Vivek, man.
Yeah,
He's
me
cool.
too.
Vivek's awesome.
I mean, we're going to spend the next week with him, so I will decide after that, but I'm leaning towards Vivek right now.
No, I mean, he has been really standing out, especially with the latest FBI controversy, as he said, you want to give the FBI a new building? I want to get rid of the FBI. Yeah. That's the type of stance. That's the type of ideology. That's the type of ideas. And this is what I mentioned during the start of this election cycle. A lot of people are like, he has no chance. There's no way he's going to win. And I'm like, did you see the impact that Ron Paul had when he ran for the presidency of the United States? Do you saw the ideas that captivated the minds of the American people? Did you see the wildfire of people understanding that there's personal liberty and personal freedom out there that is actually capable of being achieved if we take personal responsibility for each other? Did you see the impact that they had? And that's something that I think needs to be noted here, as the battle of ideas is critical here. And if we're able to fight this larger notion, this larger state with ideas that would revolutionize people's vision of themselves and their communities and their neighborhoods, that's a huge win. That's a major victory. If we could bring people together that could say, hey, we're going to solve all of our problems. We're not going to be giving the state anything. We're not going to be giving our money, our time, and resources to the people who don't give a damn about us. That right there is a solution. So I'm happy Vivek is running to be the president of the United States. I hope he stays in as long as he can to get these ideas out there. And those ideas are way more important, I think, than actual votes casted for him. So that's what I personally want to see. And shouts out to all the people before him, Cynthia McKinney, Dennis Kucinich, Ron Paul. Who was that guy that died in that plane crash? There's another guy that James Traficant. We interviewed James Traficant. He did. Paul Wellstone died in the airplane crash. Airplane crash. James Traficant died in a very strange farm accident. We interviewed James Traficant before his death as well here on this YouTube channel. So definitely go check that out as well. There's a lot of really important individuals that help set up a different scenario for the future generations of this country. I really do not think if it wasn't for Ron Paul, I don't think Vivek would be where he is right now. So who's Vivek going to prop up? As of course he's going to be around for a very long time. CNN is already petrified of him, saying this guy's going to be around for 50, 60 years, and his ideas are even more bombastic than Trump's. Right. Yes. Hell yeah. I love that.
A lot of people are trying to correlate Vivek to Rishi Sunak in the UK, and it's just bizarre to me because, like, in terms of rhetoric, you couldn't be more 180 degrees apart. So I'm still holding out hope that Vivek's the real deal and that what he's espousing is legit, because if it is, it's exactly what America needs. And we'll find out. Like I said, Luke and I are going to be on the ground with him for the next 5 days. I will report back if this man is the real deal or not.
Yeah.
Well, he's been on point ever since he hit the scene, so I have nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah, we had him on the show here. We're going to have him again this week on the podcast here, sitting down with us for at least an hour. We're going to try to get to 2 hours with him, but he's going to be very busy campaigning. It's snowing in Iowa. I leave right after this show to be with Vivek. So it's going to be an interesting kind of experience embedding with his campaign, seeing what he's about, seeing how he runs his operation, seeing the people that he put all around him. I want to see all of it. I want to spend 24 hours with him. That's what we're working on. So that content is all going to be available here on youtube.com/wearechange, rumble.com/wearechange, Luke We Are Change on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to be posting like crazy because I want to see if he's the actual real deal. And it's going to be really awesome to see that. As of course, now we're going to be finally moving over to a place where we get to discuss whatever we want.
Let's go.
Finally,
Let's get ready to rumble.
we finally get.
I feel like I have not self-censored more than I did over the past hour since we've been doing the show. Like every topic I've had to
I've been so
self-censor.
quiet, man.
Yeah.
I'm just like waiting.
Why do you think I don't talk?
But you got to talk on Rumble too, Steph.
But then you guys let it out, and I'm like, yeah.
but everyone appreciates what you have to say. And if you want to have more of an unfiltered, real live conversation, go right now to rumble.com/wearechange. We're on the front page, rumble.com. We are on the front page, so make sure to click just rumble.com. People are like, send me the link. Rumble.com. It's that easy, okay? YouTube literally has an algorithm. If you push external links, they start downranking you in the algorithm. People are always like, why don't you just send us the link? No, get your fingers, rumble.com. We're on the front page. Click the video right now. There's a lot of people here on YouTube. We have a lot of subscribers here on YouTube. We've built a lot of infrastructure here. We got to move away from this because I think it's only going to be a matter of time until we're still allowed to have a political voice here. YouTube censors a lot, especially during election years. This year, there's a lot at stake here, so our time is limited. If you are on YouTube, what are you doing? Get over right now. The video is going to be ending here on YouTube, continuing on rumble.com. And Fresh, where can people find you and support your work before we transition over to Rumble?
Yes, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do a podcast, Fresh and Fit. Me and Myron Gaines talk about dating, money, lifestyle, and girls. Go check it out. And then Instagram, Fresh Prince CEO for cars, lifestyle, and more girls. There you go.
Such a great way to end it. At Liberty Lockpod on X, if anyone wants to support my work, great way to do that is to subscribe. I will follow you back. LibertyLockdown.locals.com. Liberty Lockdown is a show, and I will be doing Tower Gang, which is a very racist and insane show. So make sure you do not subscribe to that. But if you want to see it, it'll be 9 o'clock tonight on Rumble. See you guys then.
And he's black.
And I'm black, man.
There you go.
That's a fact.
I don't know about that.
This is Steph We Are Change. You can find me on Instagram at Steph We Are Change and on Twitter, Steph WRC.
We're definitely going to get into the racist topic on Rumble. We're definitely going to get into aliens, interdimensional beings, a lot of deep down the rabbit hole talk, especially when it comes to angels and demons,
What's
you name it.
in the sewers of New York?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll get into all of that, plus more, all on rumble.com. Seriously, what are you doing being here on this technocratic